Hey Patrick, how's it going?
Hey, doing pretty well, man. How about yourself?
Dude, I just got home from picking up my master's diploma actually. I just picked it up and so I'm super stoked about it. I wasn't stoked about the undergrad one at all, but this one seemed like it was like final. Like your school shit is over. Like here you go out into the world and frolic little baby, little baby
Go
deer.
on your way.
Right.
You've blossomed.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Congratulations.
Thank you. Who did the art behind you, by the way?
Uh, as you know, my girlfriend's a zookeeper. These are all like animal paintings. I couldn't tell you what most of them are. There's some birds, there's some meerkats, uh, there's an elephant print nose up there. And it's all sorts of beasts.
She did all that?
Well, the animals themselves did. It's like, they walk across the
What? Okay, so
canvas.
you're telling me that like little animals, like they put like little paint on their like paws or something?
Yeah, like non-toxic paint. It's like a enrichment activity for them.
Okay, that's super rad, actually. So yeah, that's
So
pretty cool.
over the years, she's collected quite a few.
Okay. Um, well, I mean, we're here for the around the campfire AMA, and
Yeah.
I want to start us off with like a rapid fire kind of like to break the ice question series. And so I'm calling it cold takes. I wanted to call it hot takes, but I don't really believe in cooking your food on trail, so I'm like no cook or cold soaking. So it's cold takes. And you have like minimum time, you have like 3 to 5 seconds to like say yay or nay. And these are mostly backpacking gears or backpacking themes and general trivia. All right.
All right.
All right. Here we go. There's like 25 of them, so hang strong. All right. So again, just your basic opinions, yay or nay. CCF pads,
Yay.
cold soaking,
Nay.
taking breaks,
Nay.
hammocking,
Yay.
enjoying the scenery,
Yay.
crushing miles,
Yay.
trekking poles,
Yay.
frameless packs,
Yay.
coffee,
Nay.
nay, trail mix,
Yay.
cuck bivvies,
Yay.
Bulbasaur,
Yay.
freestanding tents,
Yay.
ultras,
Yay.
sun hoodies,
Yay.
Douglas firs,
Yay.
fleeces,
Nay.
Sawyer Mini,
Nay.
Dumbledore,
Yay.
inflatable pads,
Yay.
noon tablets, almost there,
Yay. Yay.
shoelaces,
Yay.
PMags,
Yay.
breakfast tacos,
Yay.
breakfast expedition. Oh my God, I read that wrong. I meant Everest expedition.
Oh, yay.
Okay, yeah. We're just gonna have to go really far to go get our breakfast tacos.
I was like,
Um,
is that like a specific breakfast place around Austin? I don't know.
yeah, no. So I mean, so that kind of brings into like just getting to know you. So like let's hear about like you. Like let's get to know you a little bit. So I mean, where are you from and do they have a lot of breakfast tacos over there?
I'm originally from Indiana, which is definitely not the breakfast taco, mecca of the world. Um, you may have heard in a Bowling for Soup song that the Mexican food sucks north of Texas, and it's pretty true. I do live in Houston now.
Yeah.
Other than that, I also lived in Dubai for 4 years in high school, and that pretty much sums up the places that I've lived.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know all of this, but like, did you were you able to when did you get into backpacking? Was it when you were abroad in like places like Dubai or Indiana, or was it something recently that happened?
So, wilderness backpacking specifically, I've really only been specifically interested in it for like maybe 2.5 years. When I moved to Dubai in high school, I got a lot more into traveling in general. I got to visit a lot of other countries in the region for, different sports, and just like, family traveling. And then I made it a point to kind of continue traveling throughout college. I studied abroad in Barcelona for a semester and tried to visit as much of Spain and a couple other European countries as I could. So I had really done, the travel backpacking quite a bit before I got into wilderness backpacking. But from that, I mean, I just love to adventure, see new places, meet new people, and I've always loved the outdoors. Where I grew up in Indiana, like we had, a woods right at the back of the house. So, many a day was spent just, frolicking around in there,
Yeah,
messing with shit.
yeah. Was it like really wooded, or were there like any hills or mountains? I think I know the answer, but I want to hear it.
Well, yeah, I mean, southern Indiana luckily is pretty hilly compared to the rest of the state. So this track of woods specifically was pretty hilly. It was no Everest by any means. It was no Guadalupe Peak even. But we at least have some rolling hills down there.
Mhm.
Um, Trying to think, probably the first time I saw real mountains was on like a family vacation to Florida when I was, probably less than 10 years old, just driving through like the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
and
okay.
so I've always, I mean, the views have always excited me. I really do love mountains, and I wish that we had more of that in Indiana and especially in Texas too. Now that I live here,
Yeah, and around the Houston area,
yeah.
I can't even name the high point. Like I think like isn't Houston's at elevation, right? Like it's at like a sea level.
Basically, for all practical purposes,
Yeah,
like there's probably a spot somewhere in the city that's like 300 feet or so because they built an embankment so that some bayou wouldn't flood. But
right.
for all, I mean, shit, parts of the
Patrick, you're frozen.
city are probably below sea level, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. No, when I lived there, I mean, it flooded like all the time. Like whenever there was like a tropical storm or something in the middle of the summer, there was always like rain happening and like flooding happening. Um, okay, so wait, you said nay to coffee though. Like, what's that about? You don't drink coffee?
No, I hate coffee. I love the smell, but I've never been a stand taste. So I honestly don't even really drink caffeine usually.
Yeah.
Um, like maybe once in a blue moon, if I'm having a drink, I'll like have some Coke with it as a mixer or whatnot. But I don't know, it just doesn't do it for me.
Dang, I did not know that. I mean, like
So
I
yeah,
usually
coffee
when I'm
coffee was one of the biggest nays for me in that whole list.
really, yeah, I almost put it in there as like a given, like it was going to be a given yay, but maybe that's my own. I'm putting myself in there because like I drink coffee is the first thing I drink in the morning, and funny enough, the only time I don't drink coffee is when I'm on trail, and I don't know why that is. I just wake up and I'm like ready to go, just ready to go.
You're up with the birds.
Yeah, usually before, honestly, like whenever I'm like solo backpacking, I'm getting up at like latest 5:30, but usually like 5 o'clock. Okay, so you already filled out like the ATC like form, we send to all the interviewees, but the sub had a couple of questions that they wanted to add and maybe ask future participants. So I was going to ask you some of these.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So let's get to that. This is probably the most divisive one on the sub. It was Catholes. It's really simple, Catholes. before or after? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, ideally before, but let's be real, Mother Nature calls, and sometimes when it knocks, it doesn't wait. So I
Yeah,
would say ideally before, but that it doesn't always play out that way.
that's my take as well, because I mean, I don't plan poops, they just happen, and you especially like on like the first day or two of like backpacking, like I'm eating like processed like peanuts and like Snicker bars. Like it's not exactly like poop inducing. And so yeah, it would be such a waste of time to set up a hole and then like not use it the next day.
Well, and like I was thinking as people would necessarily like they dig the hole and then immediately go after, not necessarily
Yes.
like dig it the night before, but
Yeah, some people do the night before. But yeah, usually ideally it would be like what, like you do the hole and then you do the deed.
yeah,
Ideally, yeah, ideally in a perfect world.
I mean, like, because we're not trying to stop while we're on trail, right? We're like, so even if you feel like you might have to poop, like I can make it a few more miles, but then you might like come around a bend and then it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, it's usually like if oh man, I don't know if this is like getting gross or anything like that, but like usually you wake up, or I'm saying, I'm going to use my I statements. I would wake up and then I would like, start like putting my stuff away and then get the urge and then do the deed and then, go on my merry way. But like, if I'm already started hiking and that urge comes, like there's no time to dig a hole, at least over here. Like there's no time, like time is of the essence. It's happening now. And so I need to like run off into the brush and like find like a not cactus filled spot, you know?
The worst part around here is trying to find even some semblance of ground that you think you might be able to dig in, because it's all just so rocky.
Yeah, it's either rocky or rooty, or there's like a plant there. Usually a plant is willing to stick you with a bunch of needles.
Yeah.
All right. So another one that I thought was pretty cool. It gets into like what it is like in a typical day of a backpacking trip or of a hiker, is like, what are some activities you do when you're backpacking or like through hiking? Like, do you like to take pictures? Do you bring a camera? Do you listen to audiobooks? Do you like to like maybe like route like map the route that you're on, or like add little like features like, hey, here's like a cliff, here's like a water feature that isn't on the map?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty vanilla. I would say photography is definitely the number one thing that I do while I'm out there. I just bring my phone, not necessarily to save weight, but because I don't have like an expensive DSLR. I actually would probably take the weight penalty to get better photos, but the phone does the job pretty well. I like to make sure that I remember pretty much every cool feature that I see out there. I can't really listen to audiobooks, honestly. Like I tried to one time and I got like 5 minutes in. I was like, I haven't actually like absorbed a single word that's been said. So never audiobooks, rarely even music, just because I don't like to burn my phone battery. I'd rather use it for photos or for maps.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm honestly pretty vanilla out there. A lot of what I do is just hike.
Yeah.
One thing I do wish that I could learn a little bit more about is like plant identification, and be able to recognize
plants.
Like what kind of vegetation I'm seeing while I'm out there.
Yeah. And I think I'm at that stage too, where like I backpack certain areas frequently. I definitely have my niche of where I like to backpack, but I'm not well in tune with like the fauna and flora of the area. And I think that's the next step, because I'm really good at identifying like the features, or of like a place, and like getting to know like secret hidden spots. Like that. You remember when we went to Guadalupe Mountains, we found what maybe was an aspen grove. And I'm really good at that. Like I can find those spots and then I can chronicle them. Um, yeah, but I want to get better at identifying animals too, for sure. Like that ringtail. What was it, like a cat or is ringtail? What
It's
was
a
it called?
ring-tailed cat. It's just called a ring-tailed cat, apparently.
Yeah.
And apparently they're not endangered or anything, but they're out there. Just never had heard of them.
I've never heard of them either, and it was really spooky because like I didn't expect there to be such a big mammal, especially up in a tree. And all you saw was like its little eyes, right? And it was like it was a new moon. There was no light out. It was just like darkness and just light staring back at you. It's kind of creepy.
Well, yeah, I thought it was like somebody's actual cat because I saw a poofy tail and then I saw it climbing the tree and I was like, what the fuck? And as I got closer, I actually was able to see the outline more because before you came up, it was kind of closer to the outer edge of the tree, and I could really get a sense of like it's like it looks kind of like a little lemur almost. Like I don't know, super cool though.
What's this isn't on the list, but like have you ever had any kind of experiences with wildlife that you were kind of like shaken by or like surprised or scared of or excited to see?
Um, I mean, excited for sure. Almost anytime I see anything that's not a bug, I get pretty excited.
Yeah.
You know, mountain goats in Colorado or those moose in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah, the moose.
Honestly, one of the worst nights of sleep I got was at Lake Somerville State Park here in Texas when um, the designated campground is like this huge clearing in the middle of the woods. And I just heard all these like boar snuffling around at the edge of it like all night. And I was like, God, go away.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not getting my food. Which I mean, I'm not necessarily like, you know, I don't have a phobia of wild boar or anything, but you know, they're a pretty big animal to be wandering around near me in my little tarp at night.
Yeah,
So
and they're usually like there's not just usually one boar. It's usually like a whole family with
yeah,
like of them. And so it's like five of them versus and like maybe a couple of them are adults really big and it's just you and like a little tarp and a little bivy trying to not be scared for your life.
yeah. If there was anybody else in the entire park that night, they would have definitely heard me just yelling profanities at the top of my lungs, trying to get these things to leave me alone.
Dude, oh my God. Do you remember the time we were in the Guadalupe Mountains and we we were going to sleep and then like out of nowhere we kept hearing like these things walking outside of outside of our vision, like we were flashing our lights and we couldn't see them.
Yeah, the sounds of a very large animal in the dark. Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, and it was like my first thought. I don't know why. It was like, is this a fucking desert yeti? Like, what are we doing here? Like this is like some like abandoned ridge in like New Mexico. Why is anything alive over here, let alone stalking us? Or maybe a mountain lion because like we were pretty up high on like a not on a peak on a ridge line. But
Are
then
you,
it just
are you talking about the cows or are you talking about before
yeah.
we were talking about okay,
That's what I
yeah.
was gonna say. I was gonna ask you to finish the story, but what happens?
Yeah, we finally muster up the courage once we hear that whatever animal it is only like 30 or 48 feet away, 30 or 40 feet away. And then
Yeah.
we freaking shine our little NU-25s over like, who
Yeah.
is it? And it's just like a group of 5 cows looking at us like, huh?
I'm like in my underwear and I've got like my trekking pole in hand, like ready to like fight a mountain lion. Yeah, and it's just like a family of like cows looking for like a water source or something.
The only reason I wasn't sure if that's what we were talking about is because we had that sketchy like evening down in the little like before we climbed up to the ridge where we're seeing like all sorts of like bones and a glove. OJ's other glove
Oh,
was out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and one day we'll go back down to that canyon too and like see
Yeah,
what else is living down there. Hopefully in the daytime.
that's where we'll find the Yeti.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another one I like. What is your greatest Lighterpack sin?
Uh, I mean, I don't really like I think I do a good job of including the weights of everything and like having it under the correct like base weight versus worn weight or whatever. But I don't think I actually list the fact that I keep things in stuff sacks, and that's a huge no-no for most people. So
I did not know that.
yeah, I
Um,
just like to keep everything organized, I
kind
mean,
of same.
the weight is there, it's part of the base weight, but I don't specify, tarp in stuff sack.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I do include the weight of the stuff sack because, like, all right, so I have a ditty bag, I have an allofume bag, which is usually what everyone has, and then I keep my tarp inside of a stuff sack, inside of like the DCF stuff sack that it comes with. And like I'm so glad I do because like the one time that I was like, okay, let me see, what this hype is about. I put my tarp in there. And granted, this was a couple of weeks ago, and so my tarp is like way over 1,000 miles. It's closer to 2,000 miles at this point. And it got shredded inside. I had to patch it with like a bunch of like DCF tape, and I probably added weight to the tarp nut with a tape on. And so yeah, man, it's like a 5 gram stuff sack. Why not? It's made out of DCF anyways.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my greatest sin. That's my secret, and now it's out.
Yeah. One thing that I did want to ask you about, which I would have asked you earlier, is that like one of the reasons I wanted you to do this AMA was because like when we first met a couple years ago, oh my God, who is this?
This is Waffles.
Waffles. Oh my God.
Waffles. Hello. Say hi.
Hey, Waffles. um, oh man, my cats are being lazy, so I can't introduce you to any one of them. But Waffles looks very cute. I hope they know that.
Thank you. She's my baby.
Yeah. No, I wanted to ask you, like when we met, you were in was it a Big Agnes like Ewell Creek 2 or 1?
Fly
And
Creek too, yeah.
yeah, Fly Creek 2. And you have like a Osprey something, like a 24 Stratus or something like that. And but then you slowly kind of like now you're rocking like an Etowah tarp that like is almost too small for even me. And like I'm not even like I guess I'm like, what could you talk about how you progressed, quote unquote, into the UL lifestyle?
For sure. So that first UL Texas meetup in Sam Houston, like that was right after I had just started getting into backpacking. And I didn't want to go out and like spend a ton of money on stuff all at once. I mean, I did get a pretty good deal on the Fly Creek, which is why I ended up getting it. And I felt like some kind of a shelter was a minimum. The actual backpack is like my backpack from college. Like just like it's not even a backpacking backpack. Like that's just what I
Like an
had. So
EDC sort of thing.
right, yeah, I think it's like an Osprey Comet or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, just barely fit everything like for the overnighter because I had the Fly Creek. I didn't even have my own sleeping bag. I actually borrowed my girlfriend's sleeping bag for that trip, which was like a Marmot something, like 40-degree bag.
So you were just
And
getting
that's like,
started with backpacking then.
yeah. So I hadn't even made like that investment. I did buy, besides the tent, I had also bought a sleeping pad, which was a Climate V2, uninsulated one, which was super, super cold. Like, I don't even think it got into the low 40s that night. And between that shitty Marmot sleeping bag and the Climate, like, I was actually freezing. And granted, we were right next to water, but like,
Yeah.
it should not have been that cold.
Yeah. That night, it was like maybe like upper 40s.
Yeah. So, yeah, so those were, I had only made a couple purchases at that point.
But you were testing out the hobby.
Right, pretty much. And so like in the last like 2+ years since then, I've, at least settled on the fact that, I like this enough to like invest some effort into it and invest
Yeah.
some money. Um, I did like the Fly Creek for how like simple it is to set up. Like it's just so easy to pop it up in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Um, and there's still a part of me that like kind of wishes I had it sometimes when I'm like staking out my tarp and trying to get like the perfect pitch and whatnot.
Pitching your tarp
Um,
with like with like chopsticks and like random sticks that you find on the ground too.
yeah, or just like praying that like these rocks are gonna hold if I throw enough of them on top of the stakes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Um, but like it's just so bulky to bring like a fully enclosed tent, and um, I rock a pretty small bag anyway, which was the Zimmer-built Quick Step. So like I mean, I've obviously carried the Fly Creek in it before, and I can do an overnighter or two with the Fly Creek in there and food and whatnot. But space is definitely at a premium. So, if I want to go on longer trips with that pack, I'm pretty much forced to downsize to like a tarp, or if the bugs are bad enough, I'll bring the Vivi too now.
Yeah. I mean, when you did though, I mean, like I remember we did the winds, and that was like a 7-day trip, and you used the quick step. Like it's like 36 liters total. That's like including like the big front pocket and stuff.
Yeah, it was really, really, really pushing it for that trip. Um, I mean, for one thing, like I don't think it's meant to carry that much weight. Just because mainly like most of the food like added up. It's not like my gear was necessarily that heavy, but
Yeah. It
uh,
was just the volume of like the amount of food.
plus like really, I feel like we could have had better bear protection for our food, to be honest.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't think like an actual like I don't think I would have been able to fit the food plus a bear can.
Oh, no way. Yeah. I mean, even I've got like a oh, what do you call those? Like the wild
Percent.
designs. Yeah. No, I've got like
Oh,
a
the barricade. You got a barricade, right?
no, this, yeah, I have a barricade scout. Like, so like it's like 4 or 5 days, but even um that small of a bear can wouldn't have like been able to fit when you take into consideration like all the layers that we had for that trip, and like we had spikes too. Like it would have just been a lot to ask. But like back to your gear, like something that I noticed too is like so you started liking backpacking. You knew you were going to do it for a while, and so you went from like like your college like EDC backpack, and I would say you were pretty frugal about it. Like you got a quick step, which is really nice pack for relatively cheap, a Bora bivy and a tarp, right? At
Right.
first, and now it's an Etowah tarp. But like those are all pretty inexpensive brands, and so like I mean, can you talk about how like obviously it was an investment, but was it expensive? Like kind of how most people think UL is all about, like how only you can if you go ultralight, you have to drop like $3,000 in your kit.
Yeah, and when I look back at like how much I've spent on the hobby in total, it is a lot. But I am a pretty frugal person in general.
Yeah,
I mean, when I studied abroad in Spain, like I said, I traveled a lot. I mean, like almost every weekend I'd visit some other city or even some other country. And I was still a college student at the time. Like I didn't have money to just blow. So I'd, look for the cheapest flights and, make sure I ate super frugally, all that. So I've never been a big spender. And so obviously with gear, I was looking to find stuff that struck a nice price point for how light it was. And I feel like it's, especially like the Bora gear stuff, is super hard to find lighter stuff that's even comparable on price.
yeah,
Um, and especially for like American made as well. I mean, you could maybe find some stuff on like AliExpress that's pretty light and very cheap, but I mean, for the workmanship and for the fact that like, you're supporting a local business and whatnot, the price point is amazing. It's maybe gone up slightly even since I bought it. So I think it was even a few bucks cheaper a year or so ago. But and then I got my Quick Step on like a Black Friday special. So
Oh
Chris was
yeah.
using like an extra like 25 bucks off the Quick Step or something. I actually look back and kind of wish I had gotten his Pica pack. I
Yeah.
went with the Quick Step because it was a little bit cheaper, but the Pica was an even better deal at the time. I think he had it for like $100, and you get a lot more fun colors with the VX. So I kind of wish, like looking at it sometimes, I'm like, like a turquoise Pica pack would be sweet.
Yeah. Or I know that like I think like the purple is a color on there, and I'm like, I'd be into that, for
Purple would
sure.
be nice as well.
Yeah. It would
Um,
really pop in like pictures and stuff.
and then beyond that, just like trying to use things that you already have, like, you know, for the most part, up until very recently, I was still using a pair of fleece gloves that I have for like 5 years that are like super, super like lightweight and thin, but just like basic like polyester kind of gloves. You don't need to go out and spend a ton of money on like Arc'teryx or Patagonia or anything like that. You know, clothing is clothing, and it can help you enjoy your trip, but it's not gonna help you see things that you wouldn't otherwise get to see, right? Like at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's your own physical capabilities. Um, so when you think about it, like there's not that many things that you should really have to buy brand new to get into backpacking. Like I went out on that trip with just like the backpack I had already. I think most people have some kind of a backpack already.
Hmm.
Uh, I would say shelter is probably one thing that's a needed one. Some kind of a sleeping bag, or some kind of a sleeping bag. That's like probably the most expensive one item. It's hard to get light for cheap. And then like a sleeping pad, most people aren't going to have, but that can be pretty cheap, especially if you go CCF. And I actually have found like, when I first got into backpacking, I went for inflatable because, I just assumed it would be more comfortable. But I haven't really found that to be the case necessarily. Like something about being like higher off the ground makes me feel like I'm gonna fall off it. Whereas with a CCF pad, like it's pretty cushioned, and like I don't know, I feel more secure on the ground, and I feel like I get just as good of a night's sleep, if not better.
Yeah. No, I kind of agree about the CCF versus inflatable because like I bring an inflatable only during like the winter months, and that's because like I'm not gonna bring like 2 or 3 CCF pads to do the job, right? There's when especially when you have a UL pack like the Quick Step or like I don't know maybe like a Profit or not a Profit but like a Cutaway or something like that where you're like working with like 36 40 liters, like and if you're like hiking in the desert when it's really cold, or just in general, like you have a premium on space on volume, and so like you it's almost out of necessity that you bring CCF because you're solving for volume, not for weight. But yeah, every time I bring an inflatable, I don't get as good enough sleep because I don't find it as comfortable. But I'm always constantly worried about like I toss and turn and I like do it violently. Like I'm just like rolling around side to side, like I'm angry with the world. Yeah, like I'm dancing or like I'm like dodging like invisible hands. And and so like I'm always like I always wake up for like a microsecond and I'm worried about like popping the pad or like if I'm hiking in the desert, popping it like on a random like piece of cactus or thorn or a root or something like that.
Yeah, not to mention like how much quicker it is to set up and take down camp, like when you don't have to worry about blowing up or
Yeah.
deflating a pad. It's just so nice to be able to like throw a pad down and you're good to go, and
Yeah.
then whoop, fold it back up and then you're good to go again.
Yeah, it's really simple, especially if you keep it on the outside of your pack. It's just like you're taking a break, which you shouldn't be taking your break. This is ultralight. If you're taking breaks, you should take that shit to like our lightweight or our heavy, you know? No, that's not true. But yeah, it's so much simpler. Anyway, so we got a few more questions here. Let's kind of go through them really quick. Oh, I like this one. What's your best mileage in a 24-hour period?
So overall, best mileage I've had in a day was like a 55 and a half miles, but that was not backpacking. That was like trail running in the Sabine National Forest on the trail between the lakes,
Yeah.
doing the out and back. If I had to go one where I had an actual backpack, like with overnight gear, I would say about 40-ish miles on the Lone Star hiking trail.
40-ish miles, yeah. Well, I mean, don't shy away from it. Why was it 50 miles on the trail between the lakes? Don't be modest.
Oh, well, I mean, like, because I did it out and back.
Right, but I mean, like, there was a reason why you were out there in the first place.
Well, okay, so I did set the FKT, but at the time there was also not an out and back FKT.
Yeah,
And the real reason I did it was so that I wouldn't have to deal with, getting back to my car or anything, like or
yeah,
staging a vehicle. I had my eyes set on that trail for a while, but it's 27 miles end to end. It's just kind of awkward for like, I don't know. It's also not like a super like amazing trail that you want to like take your time on. Like I wanted to like see it, cross it off my bucket list just to make sure I did it, but I don't want to
yeah,
like make a whole weekend out of it.
yeah. How many FKTs do you have? Is it two or is it more?
Yeah, I have to, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay, cool.
Guadalupe Ridge Trail and the Trail Between the Lakes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So
Unless
obviously,
unless technically three if you count the one way and out and back on the Trail Between the Lakes.
did you submit for the one way? Because I think you beat the one way, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I didn't well, I don't remember how I submitted it, but it's on there as on both.
On both. Dang, my FKT days are over for me, but like uh I have two, but like I don't know, like do you think there's like you train for it, right? Like you actually I did mine kind of on accident sort of, or like I happened to be doing a trip and I happened to walk it fast, but you actually train. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So the uh sort of I well, I was at the time I was training for an Ironman, and still kind of am from thanks COVID. I was supposed to do an Ironman last April. Of course, that did not happen because of COVID. And so then I set my eyes on a different trail run, which was a 69 miler in Texas called the Possum's Revenge. It's an
Yeah,
ultra marathon.
right.
And it was in late May last year, so I thought like I'm already in shape from the Ironman. Like this could be a really funny like trail to do because like they know what they're doing with the 69 miles, nice, and they also have like a really ridiculous belt buckle you get that's like a possum riding a unicorn with a rainbow. So I was like, this will be sweet. So I kind of switched my training to do that, and then of course that also got canceled because at the time, like when the Ironman was first canceled, we didn't know how bad COVID was going to be and all that. Of course, nothing really happened last year, so the ultra marathon got canceled. But then I was left like, okay, I have quite a bit of cardio training right now. Like, I got to go do something. I had been wanting to do the Trail Between the Lakes, so I went ahead and just did it. And I made sure that I suffered as much as possible by doing it in late June in East Texas. So that was probably the most
Humid.
yeah, probably one of the most dangerous things I've ever done, to be honest. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it was self-supported. So uh, I mean, I lost a lot of you know
Water weight, probably.
water weight. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, even on just like a 2 hour or a 3 hour run here, like I will lose like 7 pounds in water weight. I can't imagine what that would be in June in East Texas. Like, well, it was probably a majority of the day of you just moving.
Yeah, it was. It took a little over 15 hours out and back, and I think I
Jesus.
lost like 12 pounds from before the trip.
Whoa, 15 hours, man. That's brutal. I mean, usually, I mean, 15 hours is like a long day of hiking, but considering you were moving fast and in that heat, that's pretty brutal to be honest.
Honestly, once I set the one-way FKT, I wasn't really like too concerned about going fast the rest of the way since I was out there by myself. I didn't want to like overdo it.
A couple more questions. Did you, but a little bit more on this. Do you feel that like training enhances your backpacking experience, and do you think it's maybe crucial for backpacking or no?
I mean, I'm of the opinion like everybody should be active. Like being healthy enhances my everything experience, but especially
Yeah,
backpacking
yeah,
because at the end of the day, like I like to see as much as possible with the time I have.
yeah.
Um, and I don't usually have more than a couple days at a time to go out and backpack.
Right.
So being able to go further and more miles in the day, it definitely helps. And then also, I think just from an injury standpoint, like that's not something that I am usually too concerned about when I'm out backpacking because, you know, I have the cardio background to
Yeah,
handle myself, and my leg muscles are, pretty in tune with that.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I think you touched on probably my biggest point, which is safety in the backcountry. Where like my biggest injury in the backcountry, well, my biggest latest injury in the backcountry was a rolled ankle and a sprained ankle. And do you remember when we did the Freeholy Ridge, the last mountain where I was like, okay, this is the end is like here. Like we did the worst part. All we got to do is go down. But what we ended up going down was like this like super steep like brush full hill or mountain. It took us like 3 hours to do like the easy part, you know. I covered when I rolled my ankle and it was just me and I had fresh legs too. I covered that ground in like an hour and a half. And it was because I don't I wanted to make sure I got to safety. I got to like a car and I wasn't just like hurt in the backcountry all alone. And yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do that if I wasn't physically fit, you know, or even I might not even have been on that trip to begin with if I wasn't sort of fit to do it, you know? All right, a couple more questions and then we're going to end with another game. So, really quick, what gear is worth obsessing over?
None. No year is worth obsessing over.
Agreed. Alpha Fleece's
Experiences are worth obsessing over.
yeah. The latest hype gear, I don't care. I don't care. I haven't really bought a new piece of gear in a while. So, uh, what gear do you wish existed?
So I was gonna say, I saw this before. I was gonna say one piece of gear I wish existed commercially that I know exists, like from people doing it themselves, is like a sub 6 ounce tent. Like I've seen a couple people like online that have built just like a really simple small DCF tent with like
Yeah.
just a very basic bug inner. And I mean, they're probably not like the most durable thing, but like to get a fully enclosed shelter for less than 6 ounces, I mean, I don't have the sewing skills to do that myself, so I kind of wish that was available. But then
Right.
our earlier discussion about the cat holes made me think I kind of wish there was a UL shovel that actually like dug good holes and like didn't hurt the fuck out of your hand. Because
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
like the regular like deuce of spades style trowel, it's like the weight is nice, but for actually like for its purpose, it sucks.
Yeah, I never liked the Deuce of Spades. I don't know why it's so popular. It really hurt. It cuts into my hand every time that I used it.
Yeah,
I think some
for
people
sure.
use tape over it, and I think maybe the nicest feel on hand might be like taking one of those like plastic like Hands, whatever, like orange trowels and like cutting it down to like size. I've heard people doing that, but besides that, like yeah, it's digging holes sucks.
For sure.
But you
So
gotta do it
if
right.
magically there could be one that can get through roots and rocks and whatnot and not weigh more than like half an ounce, that would be amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And all right, so one more question. So one, the whole reason why I brought you on here. So what's like what's a trail association or a cause that you feel fairly strongly about?
I mean, I have to go with the local trail, the Lone Star Hiking Trail. Anybody that's hiked it knows it's like we love to hate the
Fantastic.
Lone Star Hiking Trail. I mean, anybody that's listened to Backpacker Radio, you've heard, Zach and the Hiking Viking talk shit about the Lone Star Hiking Trail. And you know what? It is a really flat trail in the woods, but it's also our fucking trail.
Yeah.
And not including the Big Bend 100, which is not even really an official trail, it is the longest trail in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So, um, and honestly, I have gained a certain fondness for it over time. Like, the more you go in, the more you realize, like, while there's not like crazy spectacular mountain views, there are just like a crazy variety of flora, like the different flowers and trees and everything. And kind of like what I mentioned earlier, like wanting to actually be able to identify more vegetation, like
Yeah.
stems from my experience out there.
Yeah.
And I've been able to get out and do trail maintenance with the Lone Star Hiking Trail Club a couple times. And it's a really great trail organization. Those guys are cool. So
Yeah.
shout outs to them. And there's actually some really cool changes that are happening that are supposed to happen this year. They're redoing all the parking lots and going to be getting paved parking lots, which I think there's like, what is it, 18 or 19 trailheads?
Yeah, I think maybe 15.
Or 15? Yeah,
Yeah.
15 sounds right. Couldn't remember off the top of my head. And they're rebuilding a bridge over two different places, one over Lake Conroe at Stubblefield, and then the other one over the East Fork of the San Jacinto River. So like the two major like water crossings that threw off everybody's plans for hiking this trail are actually getting a proper bridge that's supposed, fingers crossed, supposed to happen this year. So
Yeah.
those are expensive projects. They could definitely use the money.
Yeah. I know that when this gets posted on the sub, I'll have like a link to the Trail Association's webpage. But yeah, they do a lot of amazing work. I mean, I've seen them out there a couple of times. I honestly want to set up a meetup to do trail maintenance there, because like it is our trail. I've hiked it in different seasons and seen something cool every single time I've been. And honestly, it holds a little bit of a fondness in my heart, even though I truly hate it because like it was my first major big backpacking trip ever, was on the Lone Star Hiking Trail. And I've gone out there to test out new gear. I've gone for the FKT and like I've done like 51 miles in one day and felt really stoked about it. Like whether I like it or not, I am tied to it. And I do want to get back. So I'll definitely link to it in the on the sub on the AMA.
And I will say for like beginner backpackers, the Lone
Perfect.
Star Trail is like a perfect like starter trail to get you ready for taking on like a longer through hike because it's 96 miles, not a ton of elevation. So if you can figure out logistically how to do that trail, it's going to set you up well to try on something bigger.
You know what you should do, because I know you have like a budding YouTube channel. Is like you should hike it, maybe go for the FKT, and we need to find the high point of the trail, and then like make sure that you at least like annotate that in like the video. Like hey, like here I am, highest point. You just look around, pan over, and it's just more woods, more green, more like mosquitoes and shit.
It's a fucking sign in the middle of the woods where there's not even any obvious elevation
Put up
change.
a sign. They should really put up a sign
There is a
because
sign.
there's a sign.
There is a sign, yeah.
I must have missed it.
I don't remember where off the top of my head. It's somewhere like
I
near
believe
the
you.
middle.
I believe you
Yeah.
because you're really good at like to me, I know whenever we talk about the trail, you're really good like, oh, like the Magnolia section, like miles like 43 to 56. I'm just like, is that before or after double leg? Like when like it all's the same to me.
I think the high point on the Lone Star Trail is like 300 something feet.
I mean, I live in like Central Texas at like 600 feet. So that's really funny. Okay, so let's end with a like true like another game. Okay. All right. So this is the premise. It's true or false. Another lightning round. It's mostly backpacking gear, themes, and trivia, and you just have to be really quick about giving me an answer. You ready? Okay. Here we go. 1 liter weighs 2.2 pounds.
True.
Charlotte is the capital of North Carolina.
True.
False.
I think
Wait,
false.
yeah. Wait, I actually don't know that one. I need to double check.
Is it Raleigh? It might be Raleigh.
I think you know what. wait. We'll check that afterwards. Let's keep going though. All right. Shoshone National Forest was the first national forest established in 1906.
True.
False. It was made in 1891. All right. So the Native American name for Mount Whitney is Tumaniguya.
False.
It's true. The Colorado Trail is 800 miles long.
That's definitely false.
Yes, it's 485. Boragir is based out of Wyoming.
I think that's false.
Yeah, it's out of Montana. A packet of peanut M&Ms contains 220 calories.
Depends on the size, right? I'm gonna say true though.
Yeah, it's true. I was gonna guess like whatever a normal backpacker, like a normal package.
Yeah.
This one's a good one. A group of wild cats is known as a destruction.
False. Cats
True.
don't travel in packs though.
Yeah, that one was weird. Because like I only know lions and but I think they mean like whenever they like start mating and stuff like that, they kind of get into like the same general area. All right.
So really, it's an orgy of wildcats. It's called a destruction.
Yeah, an orgy of wildcats is known as a destruction.
All right.
All right. Heather Anderson, also Anish, is from Indiana.
I'm gonna say false.
Correct, Michigan. The name Lone Star Hiking Trail is redundant.
Well, true.
Yeah, I never understood why they called it that. Cheryl Strait
That is the real
won a.
name, but
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, that is the real name, but yeah, it is redundant.
Yeah, like you're hiking a trail. Like you don't need to say the hiking part. Cheryl Strayed won a Pulitzer for the book Wild.
True.
False. Min Camper is Little Purple Pig.
True.
Mosquitoes proboscis, so its little stinger, has 6 sharp edges to cut through skin and clothes.
True.
False. It has 47.
What the fuck? All right.
It's gross. Black Mesa is the tallest point in Nebraska.
False.
Correct. It's Panorama Point at 5,429 feet.
Is Black Mesa an actual high point in like North Dakota or something?
Yeah. It's like I saw pictures of it like last night when I was looking for it, like looking for questions, and it's literally just like flat open space.
Yeah.
I think that's why they call it Panorama. All right, Leadville, Colorado is the county seat of Lake County, Colorado.
False.
True. The Ute are some of the earliest people to settle the Wind River Range.
True.
False. It's the Shoshones, and I'm probably butchering
definitely
that.
failed this quiz.
Yes. No, you're doing good. You're doing good. We got like 3 or 4 more. All right. If you don't vlog your AT through hike, then you really didn't hike the AT. True or false?
True. That's the one trail that applies to, I believe.
You
Yeah,
need
that's
to
true.
absolutely have a vlog. Yeah, it's like mandatory. The city of Gondolin fell at the end of the Second Age in Middle Earth.
Yeah, I don't let. I mean, I've seen Lord of the Rings, but I'm gonna say true.
It's false. It was at the end of the first age. All right, so here's a note. Joe Stringbean McConaughey has set 5 AKTs.
I'll say true. I mean, I know he's done like multiple, Long Trail, Arizona Trail, Colorado Trail, maybe.
I don't know about the Colorado Trail, but it's true. Yeah, he set 5.
Right.
Some supported, some unsupported. Last one. Neon is a noble gas on the periodic table.
That's true.
It's true. Okay. Well, that's the end of the game. You've won both games. Congratulations. Thanks for playing here. And thanks for doing this around the campfire. Do you have any last words?
It was my pleasure. Now I really need to figure out if Charlotte is the capital of North Carolina.
The only reason I asked you is because it was like a big contentious like.
It is Raleigh. Okay, my second instinct was okay. It is Raleigh. Anyway,
okay, cool. Yeah, I put false, but I didn't give the answer. I'm an idiot. Okay, but yeah, Raleigh. Because I remember it was like North Carolina or like maybe it was like Georgia. We couldn't figure out what the capital was, but we couldn't figure out the answer for days because we were in the middle of like the Wind River Range.
Oh, Atlanta's the capital of Georgia, I think.
Oh God. All right.
Anyway, geography lessons aside.
Yeah. Well, no, seriously. Thank you for like doing this with me, and I hope we have a lot more.
Heck yeah! Hopefully, we'll get some big people on soon, and it was a ton of fun doing this. So I'm happy to be the guinea pig.
Yeah. All right. See you, man.
Catch you later.
All right.
Happy trails.
Happy trails.